Hello, I am Nimja, and this is Nimja Live, August 2021, with the theme Princess Transformation. Sorry about that. Hello everyone. Before I begin, as always, I'd like to thank the continued and impressive support of my Patreons and donators. It's now 1,350 patrons on Patreon. It's amazing. After the live, I've enabled YouTube memberships, as I've said before. It's mostly to make sure that there are no automatic ads enabled on the site, and to have access to members-only chat during trance, which makes it a lot easier. I'm not able to chat myself, of course, because the type would get very annoying. As for the live itself, the live works as follows. First, we have about 15 minutes of the introduction and discussion of the theme. Then we will actually do the trance, starting at about 1:15. And after the trance, there's a brief moment for me to make sure that the file is okay, and then we do the Q&A. I would also like to thank all of you for liking, commenting, and subscribing. It is absolutely amazing. And indeed, today's theme is Princess Transformation. After the live, the recording will be available on the site as an MP3 or streaming as usual, with the background music added and some cutting of any mistakes that I've made. There we go. And if you have any questions, please keep them until after the trance. Now, before we discuss the theme, there are two things I would like to mention that are very, very important. This princess transformation is intended to be a fairy tale princess kind of thing, meaning sort of innocence and elegance in that direction. And also it'll be feminine in style. These two things are important. I'm still considering if I want to do a prince transformation or something similar like that. I was thinking quite a lot, actually, for today's theme selection, but I noticed that I was self-censoring too much, because it's quite all right to sometimes have feminine themes, as long as I also am mindful of all the other themes. I don't know if you'll be entering some magical sleep. And the other thing, of course, is that princesses come in all shapes and sizes, and this is not a warrior princess, no Xena or Buffy or Wonder Woman or She-Ra today. They are awesome, they are amazing, they are powerful, but that is not today's theme. It does remind me that I should probably make another fantasy file at some point. I will write down magical sleep, because apparently multiple people really like that idea. And I mean, even feminine princesses are not completely harmless. A magical fairy portal. And it doesn't have to be Cinderella. No, tonight will not be an implied warrior princess. Anyway, let us discuss the theme. It's actually a good question if princess would automatically be little space like. I will consider that. Not too explicitly, but somewhat probably. There will be probably pink and tiaras, glitters, and jewelry. A big royal garden. I do like that idea. A pet dragon. Probably not. Elegance, indeed. Elegance. Biodegradable glitter. Ooh, that's interesting, Arashi. About being a princess is not an easy job. That depends on the perspective. There's a really awesome game about being a princess, which is actually a time management game and incredibly difficult. But today's file should be relaxing. Ooh, pampered. That is a good word. Pampered, safety. I kind of like the idea of being the youngest princess, the one with as little responsibilities as possible. Following this up with a kidnapping file, interesting idea. And indeed, I was talking about the game Long Live the Queen. But let's not get too distracted and focus on the theme. Oh, canopy beds, very good. And long draping curtains. And garden with a gazebo stone. The word gazebo is so odd, phonetically speaking. Knowing we get whatever we want because we are princesses. Spoiled is what that is called. Being spoiled. Tea party. Talking birds. I will talking to animals with a question mark. Tea with little cakes, cared for and protected. It's hard to be spoiled without going into the bratty direction. A familiar. Maybe. Talking teacups. No, we're not doing Belle and the Beast. And no, you don't get to learn phrases like, you may dominate me, human. Curtsy. Curtsy is also a very nice word. Now, I will also do my best to not gender the listener too much. I will call them princess, but it doesn't matter what your gender is to be the princess. Magic items. Lace. Oh, good point. Lace, of course. A lacy dress. Not lazy, but lacy. Dropping into a curtsy. Magical items, I also didn't... A tiara, necklaces, pendants... And indeed, manners. You may be spoiled, but at least you ask politely. Your own personal, like witch or wizard to fulfill your greatest wishes. Oh, locket. That's the word I was looking for. Locket. That's a good word. I will consider mentioning demure. I don't think everyone will be a demure princess. And we're almost done with the discussion. Sneaking out of the castle. Whimsical. Oh, I need to remember that word. Unicorns. I don't know if unicorns are a good idea. They tend to, like, hunt for princesses to some degree. But I will write down unicorns. Precious and treasured. Don't give them too many ideas, Phoenix. And Haley, no, it's not the same castle. This is going to be your castle. It could be. My own. My precious. All right, let us get ready. This can go down. There we go. All right. Please sit back. Keep your hands and legs inside the ride at all times. Get yourself comfy and hopefully have any kind of post-trance liquid ready to consume. In a moment, I will switch the chat. Members only. There we go. I think we are ready. Let us make sure that the chat is switched. There we go. Perfect. It always takes a few seconds for YouTube to actually realize what's happened. Once again, I'd like to remind people that participation in the trance is completely voluntary. Take whichever words you are comfortable with, and if you don't want to participate, that's perfectly fine. It's for your comfort, so do what feels right to you. Now then, I think everything is ready. There we go. Let us begin. Hello, I am Nimja, and this is Nimja Live. with the theme Princess. Actually, let me do that again. Hello, I am Nimja, and this is Nimja Live Princess Transformation. In this file, you will be transformed into a princess, maybe even one of a magical variety. Who knows what kind of fantasy kingdom you end up with? However, you will not be the next in line. In fact, you will be free of any and all responsibilities and have all the benefits without any of the work. However, before I can put you into your new dress and wonderfully sparkly, beautiful clothes, I first have to put you to sleep. I'm sure you're familiar with the fairy tales in which the princess was put to sleep, only to wake up in another time. In a way, this is similar, to help you, to make you transform and envelop yourself into a whole new fantasy, a beautiful world of imagination. Close your eyes. Allow yourself to relax. Take a deep breath in, and then sink down. Imagine for a moment that a spell is being placed on you to transport you into that magical kingdom. You have to be put into a deep trance. So the deeper you go, the easier and deeper you'll be transported into the wonderful place where you end up. And while you are going deeper, you might want to already begin to imagine how the kingdom looks. Hills, forests, grass, mountains. How does the castle look? Are there towers? Are the stones dark or light? Do they shimmer in the sun? Or do they highlight the shade? What would the landscape look like? What about your room? What room would you like to be the princess in? The center of the room is probably that canopy bed, the one where you'll drop into in a moment. You'll be transported into the center of an incredibly comfy amount of pillows and blankets, of material so smooth and soft that you could spend there forever. The shimmering silk on the side of the beds, those semi-transparent fabrics. I wonder what color you choose. Because everything here, everything in this kingdom, in this world, this universe, will listen to you. Sleep is a strange thing. We can dream the most fantastical worlds without any effort. And I'm sure that you can imagine the majesty of a magical sleep. Would you even notice the subtle tingles going through your body as the magic slowly takes hold of you, pulling you down deeper and deeper to become the magical sleeper, and drifting into the fantasy. The more you sink, the more you let yourself fall back into that wonderfully soft bed, the more comfy it will become. I'm sure that you could imagine how soft that mattress would be, how the light in your room is just right. Everything is exactly as you want it to be. So let me count you down for just a short while, as you are already in a wonderfully magical embrace, following, listening, and soon asleep, only to wake up as a princess. 10. Imagine the world. 9. As it revolves around you. 8. Every moment pulling you down. 7. Into a deeper sleep. 6. As you become the princess. 5. Dressed so beautifully. 4. So elegant. 3. And so well mannered. 2. As the magic envelops you. 1. Drop. Outside, there's the sound of birds. You know that if you wanted to, you could call them and they would listen. You are a princess. Around you, your clothes flow. The dress you wear is beautifully done, expensive, and yet comfortable to wear. It has been tailored just for you, and it flows with your every move. On the bedside table, there glitters a tiara. It is just as impressive as the rest that you choose to wear. And next to it, a special locket. Gems set on the outside, and only you truly know what you carry inside. It is time to awaken into the fantasy. So let yourself notice the different details of the room as you brush aside the curtains around your bed, putting on the tiara and putting back on this important locket. It is up to you to choose what you want to do with today. Will it be a tea party, either with or without plushies? Will you go into the forest and talk to the animals there, learning from their lives and joining them on whimsical adventures? Maybe you'd even get lucky and find a unicorn deep in the woods, in a hidden glade lit by the sun. The majestic creature, almost a reflection of your own beauty. As you sit on the side of the bed, there's also a brush, and you could use it to style your radiant hair. It listens to you, as everything does. As a princess, you might be just a tiny, eensy bit spoiled. Of course, it's only what you deserve. You can choose what you want to do, and things will happen. You've been raised well, though. Very well-mannered and gentle. It's almost impressive how well you can deal with all the things around you and somehow make the world an even better place. Your very presence is treasured, deeply appreciated. Maybe today would be a good time to walk in the gardens. Those beautiful gardens in the castle grounds are largely decided by you. Of course, you even helped with some of it, planting plants and helping to trim the, slightly stubborn rose bushes. The garden is an absolutely wonderful place. The small waterworks there and the different decorations are wonderful to behold. They reflect what you desire, what you want, what you imagined. And as you walk around with your lacy dress, every fold of cloth flowing with every elegant move you make, your steps barely making more noise than a whisper, so soft. You could run if you wanted to, but It just feels so much easier right now to stride, to almost glide over the ground. This is a perfect place for a tea party. In the center of the garden, in the gazebo with a wonderful table and chairs, with curly decorations, and all it takes is one or two swift requests, polite of course, and the servants will bring your tea outside. Sitting anywhere you like, the sun or the shade, the trees and the coverings, all perfect and soft. And the longer you sit here, the slower you partake of your tea, the more you can embrace the feelings inside. Everything about you is perfect as it is. It is beautiful and special. And those feelings, that total acceptance of yourself, is something that you can treasure. It allows you to embrace the beauty inside and the many ways in which you can express it. As you sit in the garden, it is very possible that some birds gently fly down and ask if they can join you at your table, flapping their wings and hopping from the edge of the table, their sounds and whistles meaning very little to other people, but to you, they can be a whole story. It just feels so nice to be pampered sometimes. To know that no matter where you go, you are safe. And you can let go. As you're slowly and more deeply accepting of your place as the princess, you can enjoy it, making yourself comfortable in your place, thinking of the many things that you can do. I'm sure that the more you imagine it, the more you feel a big smile on your face. A warmth, a glow of acceptance and happiness as you simply sip your tea and know that everything is okay. Now there's so many more adventures that you can go on, so many more things that you can do. Maybe some baking of cupcakes or some exploring. Or maybe even just a simple stroll through the market. No matter where you go or what you choose to do, you will do so elegantly, beautifully, and very gently. So in a moment when I count you back up again, if you like, you can keep these feelings inside and even let them grow. You can be what you want to be. 1, 2, slowly waking. 3, 4, more aware. 5, 6, almost there. 7, 8, almost awake. And 9, 10, awake. And welcome back, Princess. There we go. I hope that you all enjoyed that. That was about 20-ish minutes of trance. And except for one audio issue, I think it went very well. Let me double check. Yes. I can do a second count up. 1, 2, slowly waking. 3, 4, more aware. 5, 6, almost there. 7, 8, almost awake. And 9. And wake. I don't know if that went completely all right. Nine, 10, awake. I apologize. I was very quickly checking the file, and apparently the numeric key I used, well, I mean, I know what I used, also is a shortcut for the thing. And indeed, it can be very silly that way. I didn't intend. There we go. That is all okay. Now, let us do the Q&A. Shelley Baxter and Waterwalker ask, when I'm telling a story like that, what do I see in my mind? Or when you do a story like that, what do you see in your mind? So similar to writing stories, I tend to imagine what I'm talking about so that I have at least a visualization or an idea of the layout of the room or what I'm talking about. Now, I made it a bit more generic, just as a sort of sweet experience rather than super specific. Becca Rose asks, what was for dinner? I had a very simple quiche. The narrator asks, did you miss us? Sure. Mad Hypnotist says, whoa, that completely reframed how I think about the idea of being a princess, and I really enjoyed it. I'm glad to hear it. Harashi asks, do you have a favorite fairy tale? Ooh, I don't know. There's a lot that I like. Nadine asks, was it fun to record the file post-it? Yes, it was. Hummingbird, yes, I did mention the specific dress. Anli asks, supposedly most people think in words, not me, what about you? I usually think in abstract or visual concepts. Official Moose of Canada asks, do you prefer the more sanitized, happy fairy tale versions, or do you prefer the more morbid and gory versions? My favorite fairy tales are not the Disney ones. They are the more European fairy tales, which are a bit more dark. But the thing is, a good story has all elements, both dark and light. And emotions are all okay. It's kind of a weird misnomer that in a lot of American culture, certain emotions are labeled as negative emotions, even though emotions themselves are just emotions. Mokali asks, when playing hide and seek, how do you hide? Advantage of being short include ease of hiding. Indeed, it means that I have to be clever about how I hide. Xenix asks, which Disney villain would make the most beautiful princess? Jafar. Jafar has like the best style of most of the Disney villains. Nadine asks, how much do the Dutch like cheese? A lot. Haley asks, been keeping up with the Olympics much? Nope. Just a Little Me asks, what is something that makes your eyes close when you remember it? Depends on how much I'm trying to remember it. The thing is, most Disney villains are not really princess types. Just Jafar is a very classical villain, but also kind of entertaining in how overly evil he is. Dragon Rider asks, how was your day? Very nice, thank you. Annelie de Fer asks, how was your vaccination? Did you have any side effects? None at all. I mean, outside of a sore arm. My vaccination went very smooth. I took it very gentle on the day after the vaccination because I know that's smart. So everything went very well. Mastermind asks, in conversational hypnosis, who is more focused? The hypnotist reading the signals given by the subject or the subject in trance? Yes. Nadine asks, do you have a favorite genre of film? I would say fantasy or sci-fi. Sci-fi is just like modern fantasy. And Haley, why I answered Jafar is also because Jafar was the second Disney villain coming to my mind. The first was Scar, who is more of a queen than a princess. And of course, you have to be prepared. Edgith asks, that's a difficult name to say. Edgith asks, do you find yourself going to a trance a bit when recording or performing? Yes, when I'm doing hypnosis, I sort of go into trance as well. Dragon Rider asks, would you ever dye your hair a different color? No, Mr. Dye. I expect you to bond. Possibly. I've dyed my hair black once, which was kind of fun. Annelies de Fair asks, what size t-shirts do you wear? I believe I usually wear an XL t-shirts. And also Jafar because of the hypnosis. Mariana asks, who was your inspiration to be a hypnotist? Well, my original interest came because of a science magazine. Katie asks, have you ever been stung by a bee or wasp? They are two very different things. Wasp stings are significantly more painful than bee stings. And I've been stung multiple times in my life. It hurts and it's swollen for a while and then it's fine. Nope Yep asks, read any good books lately? Yeah, kind of. I read a book that a movie was made of, and I'm not going to mention it yet because I'm still trying to find out who sent it to me. Nadine asks, what game are you terrible at? I really don't like strategy games. It's not that I'm really bad at playing them, but I have almost no enjoyment out of them. And if I don't get any enjoyment out of them, I also don't put any effort into it. Ace asks, do you have a favorite way to put people into trance? It depends on the person. Goofball Mist asks, are t-shirt sizes different in Europe compared to the US? A little bit. It's not that much. I believe US sizes are very slightly larger. Haley asks, do you collect anything? Nope. Not anymore. I used to collect like keychain stuffs when I was little. It was fun. Nopiap asks, what do you like most about coding? The ability to create. It's really awesome to make it work. Chuya asks, do you listen to your own videos sometimes? No. The narrator asks, do you have a good memory? Nadine asks, if you could learn any sport, what would it be? If I wanted to learn a sport, I would do it. Why wouldn't I? Hummingbird asks, can you snap with both hands? That's a very good question to get me to snap my fingers, and yes, I can. Mokali asks, you don't collect pins? Wait, how do I do Stanley? This is a story about a man named Stanley. You don't collect pins? Dragon Rider asks, have you ever shot a bow before? Multiple times. Jouette Apapa asks, do you have any indigenous snakes in the Netherlands? The only thing we have are grass adders, basically. They are very tiny, are not a danger, and it's extremely rare to see them because they're very people shy. I Am Bi asks, what is your thoughts on fake pockets? They are horrible. And of course, you need to be able to snap your fingers, because if you want to like dramatically start any kind of dance battle, you have to go like. Sophie asks, what is your favorite file type to record? It doesn't really matter on the type of file. It's really, it depends on what I have as an idea. Harashi asks, if Nimja Incorporated had a tagline, what would it be? I believe that I actually have an official tagline. Double checking if I wrote this down. I thought I did. It would be something like helping you change your mind or something. Warm Guts asks, have you watched South Park? Quite a lot. Your mind is your responsibility. That would also be a fun one. Nadine asks, valid question, cereal before milk or milk before cereal? That depends. I do cereal before milk, but either works. Trans revolution. Well played. Actually, trans revolution would be a game in which you follow instructions to go into trance. So the more you go into trance, or the better you go into trance, the better your high score. Dragon Rider asks, how dirty is your mind really on a scale of 1 to 10? I mean, we're talking realistically or playful. Playful, it'll be 11. Realistically, it fluctuates. Goofball Mist asks, have you watched Avatar The Last Airbender or Legend of Korra? I've seen a bit of Korra, not all of it. I've seen all of The Last Airbender. I probably want to be an airbender because flight, but realistically, I'd probably be Earth. I mean, so the high score in Trans Revolution doesn't really matter because anyone is just like too deep to care. Nadine asks, can February March? No, but April May. Quite like that one. Oh, true. I should be bloodbending. Edgith asks, how many transformation puns did you make during that recording anyway? Probably more than I realize. Katie asks, do you eat a lot of birds? No, only one, but I eat it many times. That would be chicken. Shelley Baxter asks, how big has your idea list grown? I think it's at 450. I'm not sure. I still get more ideas, and I even like combine some ideas. It's in the 400s somewhere. Nadine asks, do you think us as an audience would win during a pun-off? Well, there is more of you. So the trick is to just put you in a deep trance and then ask you to do a pun. Mind-bending. There's this strange new cabinet. Now everyone is thinking about like trans revolution as like a cabinet at the arcade. I don't know if everyone is aware, but there is actually a hypnosis game that I made. It's one of the visuals called the Tunnel Dive, and don't play it now, but it allows you to go through the symbols, and it's fun. Karen asks, do you ever get bored of making the files? For now, no. Sometimes I do feel a little bit pressured into making them because I also have high and low energy times. I do my best to record ahead so that if I have a low energy week, then that's not a problem. Dragon Rider asks, can you answer this? Mary's mother has 4 kids. Their names are April, May, June. What is the name of their 4 kids? Mary. I actually know a much more fun variation of that joke, Dragon Rider. Like, John's dad has 3 kids. Huey, Dewey, and... It works better if you have the names of like a group of people that everyone knows. Katie asks, how many pairs of shoes do you have? Why? Only a few. I don't have that many pairs of shoes because, like, I am a very practical person. Mastermind asks, why do you consider yourself a madman? Do we need to worry? Anyone living in this world would be mad to think it normal. Let's see. Okay. Oh, we still have plenty of times to go. Nadine asks, what type of hat do you prefer if you wear them? I generally don't wear hats. I would say a trilby type hat. I don't exactly know what the kind of hat is that I have. Arashi asks, are you interested in theater? Did you try that? And if so, what would be your favorite play? I quite like theater. It can be very beautiful to watch. And I like theater sport even more, which is like improvisation. Karen says, I love how random the Q&A is. Are they always like this? Basically, yes. Official Moose of Canada asks, what city have you never been to but always wanted to visit? I don't know. I don't have any specific lists right now. Possibly something in Japan or Canada or maybe Australia. Bastian asks, you sound slightly Dutch. Are you from the Netherlands? Ja, ik ben Nederlands. Nadine asks, is it true that your dominant look is as scary in person? I mean, that's not for me to answer, is it? Mokali asks, best blanket you've ever had? Sort of the blanket I have now, except that I still am trying to find a slightly better blanket. I like big blankets. Katie asks, do you think we as a collective have a good memory? Yes and no. Individuals have a good memory, and if they do the effort, then a collective can have incredibly good, like, recollection. However, it depends on how much they're paying attention. Only fawns. Mastermind asks, how's the training going to make an innocent face? Oh, I've given up on that. Nob asks, how's the weather there? Rainy, actually kind of cool, which is nice. Annalise asks, how big is big when it comes to blankets? 220 by 240, talking in meters. So 2.2 by 2.4. Nobiab asks, oh my god, do you have a problem finding big enough blankets because you're so tall? No, IKEA exists. IKEA has big blankets. I am grateful. I'm actually lucky. I'm less than 2 meters tall. It gets really problematic when you're over 2 meters to find stuff that is good for your height. Although most of the time right now, beds and stuff can be bought in bigger sizes. 220 means 2 meters, 20 centimeters. Also, 220 meter would not be a football field sized blanket. It would be 4 football fields, because football fields are about 100 by, oh no, actually more than 4, it'd be 8, because they're 100 by 50 or something. Nadine asks, do you enjoy scaring people? Like hiding behind a corner and spooking the person that walks by? No. No, that wouldn't be fun. A prank should amuse and confuse. It should make the sufferer of your prank happy. Shelley Baxter asks, do you dream about files or coding from time to time? Not necessarily. I haven't really dreamt about coding or files specifically. So no, I don't think so. Goofball Miss asks, are we talking American football or European football? Obviously European football, because we're talking in meters. Metric system for the win. Metric tends to be better. Nadine asks, do you ever think about how many people listen to your files throughout the day? I tend not to think about it too much. It gets kind of weird when I realize how many people have listened to me and how much they're listening to me or how often they're listening to me. I do my best to stay grounded by accepting that it happens without thinking too much about it. Because I'm nobody special. I am also a person. I'm as special as everyone else, which therefore makes me not special. It's complicated. Ace asks, do you tend to remember your dreams? Generally, yes, but it depends if I want to remember them in the morning. If I let them go, like if I don't put effort into remembering, then I just let the dream go, but usually I'm still able to remember the dreams. Just a Little Me asks, what is the best ASMR sound in your opinion? I'm not sure. Probably either whispers or cloth. Mokuli asks, do you usually look forward to sleeping? That's an interesting question. Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes I'm just busy, but I do my best to get enough sleep. Nadine asks, what is the reason why we experience déjà vu? Pattern recognition. Arashi asks, the most difficult question of the world. If you had to disappear one of your logos, what would it be? The metronome or the butterfly? Practically speaking, the butterfly, because the metronome is better for branding. The butterfly means more to me, but the metronome is way more practical. Katie asks, in how many ways can you whisper into the mic? Nice try. That was a very obvious one, but still fun. And you're very welcome, Karen. I'm glad to know that, it's nice to hear that my work is helpful. The feeling of brushing is probably much better than the sound of brushing. Dragon Rider asks, would you be terrified if I told you there was something behind you? Well, it would be very impractical because there's a green screen behind me. Westlake Angel asks, do you experience ASMR? It's not something I really listen to. I have reactions to certain songs, but that's very different from how people explain ASMR. Annalise asks, how do you feel about people getting the butterfly and or metronome as a tattoo? There are a few out there that have, and they have my consent as long as it is something that means something to them. And that something shouldn't be me, but rather what they achieved or what they link it to. Lewis asks, what was your most viewed video? I think it is either Lose Your Voice or Forget Your Name. It's one of the two. I think it's Lose Your Voice. Dragon Rider asks, how do you feel about people calling you daddy? I don't allow it. It is sir. Any other title has to be earned. And I'm also fine with like no title. Just Nimja or hey you or you nerd. That's fine. Ace asks, would you ever make a file with ASMR? I have quite a few whisper files. Sayana asks, have you tried the Oreo mint cookies? I think I have. I didn't really like them. I like mint on its own, and I like chocolate and those kind of flavors, but I don't like them that much together. Nadine asks, just for people who are new here, could you show us what your evil smirk looks like? No. Haley asks, so you nerds, how was your month? Anything cool happen? Well, August has only just begun. July was a bit heavy. It was a very busy month, mostly work-related. Official Moose of Canada asks, do you live alone or with others? Yes. Morgally asks, most likely to work way to put people into trance as far as inductions go. For people who are unpracticed, I think now I'm drawing a blank. There's a lot of inductions that are very good. The little shelf induction is a very nice one to practice with, as is the rehearsal induction. The Elman induction is a really good starter induction. And of course the frying pan induction is ever effective, but not very people-friendly. Nadine asks, what is the funniest joke you know by heart? The funniest one? I know a few jokes. One of my favorites. Yeah, I read an article about the top jokes in the world, and I must say that the top two were quite good. Number three was forgetful. Number two was the top one in the US, which is that a hunter calls 911, and he's like, oh my god, my friend got attacked by a deer, and he's laying on the ground, and I think he's dead. And then 911 operative says, okay, sir, calm down. Can you make sure if he's dead? And then you hear bang. Okay, he's dead. Now what? Which is a very silly subversion of expectation. The other one that was also in that one that I liked is, I would like to die like my grandfather, peaceful in his sleep, not like his passengers, screaming in terror. And the other one is a very famous joke of Sherlock Holmes. Which is much more lighthearted. I'm sorry about the rather dark humor, but yeah, if you go by humor, dark humor tends to be very successful. And no, I don't only memorize morbid jokes. So the one from Sherlock Holmes is Sherlock and Watson are on an adventure, and it's night, and Sherlock says to Watson, Look up and tell me what you see. I see the midnight sky. What does that tell you? Well, I see no clouds, so that tells me that tomorrow would probably be really good weather. I see that the stars are aligned in this way, which means that we're now in the month of June. And he goes on for a while, and then Sherlock says, Watson, you idiot. It means someone stole our tent. And yes, I'm familiar with the Darwin Awards. Haley asks, what's up with humanity's morbid humor? The thing is, humor is a really good way to parse certain emotions. So, and of course, there's my famous, how many psychiatrists do you need to change a light bulb? One, but the light bulb has to want to change. Haley asks, are there fireflies in the Netherlands? No. Dragon Rider asks, if you can travel to a different reality, would you do it? It depends. Could I travel back? If I can't travel back, I don't know. The narrator asks, do grammatical errors bother you? I'm actually surprised that you asked me that question without grammatical errors. It would have been funnier. A Dragon Rider asks, I want to draw you as a kitsune. What are your favorite colors? Well, you can use the Nimja color and the clear blue of a winter sky, as I've seen before. Also, if you want to draw me as a kitsune, I would prefer like a white... I would prefer a white fur with like small color highlights rather than having the whole fox be like the Nimja blue. Leon Greenwood asks, how do you unlock psychic powers? Can you make a video on it? No. Nadine asks, why are you so evil with your responses? Because you like it. And it's not exactly evil, it's more playful. Sleepy Doll asks, have you seen any good movies recently? Not anything particularly good. Katie asks, what do you think about self-deprecating jokes? They're fine up to a point. The thing is, you shouldn't self-deprecate too much. Making a joke at your own expense is fine, as long as they're not too frequent. Mastermind asks, is it okay if a sub listens to Ed Sheeran, or do you prefer playing Edge if Sheeran yourself? Cute. I saw that one before. Harashi asks, do you think you can do your dominant voice in French? Let me see. Dois? Que dois-tu faire? Que dois-tu faire? Shelley Baxter asks, do you exercise on purpose? No, it happens completely by accident. Yes, I exercise and bicycle to make sure my body is healthy. Having a healthy body is something that will benefit you your whole life. Nadine asks, what's the difference between ignorance and apathy? Well, besides I don't know and I don't care, it's a difference between not knowing yet and not wanting to know. And yes, I'm familiar with that joke. Also, I don't think I've put anything on the fan site recently, but I'm always open to see fan art. I don't place everything on the site, but I do appreciate everything, and if you send something, you always get a reply. Official Moves of Canada asks, so is willful ignorance the same as apathy? That's a very complex question. They're definitely related. Haley asks, was that brief dominant look on purpose or instinctive? Yes. Mokali says, we solve problems on purpose. It would be a good Nimja Inc. motto. And Babsi Terhar says, ignorance is bliss. Yes and no. There's a saying which says, what you don't know can't hurt you, but that's not true. Just Little Me asks, is it always better to know than to not know? Generally, yes. However, absolute statements never have a proper answer. Louis Bailey asks, do you have a house or a mansion? Yes. Dean asks, do you like being playful or strict more? Sometimes. Okay, you do get a bonus point for that pun, Nadine. People who use selfie sticks really need to have a good, long look at themselves. Haley asks, is there truly such a thing as being over-prepared? Or is it always better to have and not need than to need and not have? Yes. Over-preparedness happens when the preparation takes time away from the experience. So when preparation cuts into experience, then it's over preparation. Also 11 minutes remaining. So get your questions in quick before the time has passed. The narrator asks, quick countdown from 10 without using your fingers. Why? Trying to do the alphabet backwards is actually surprisingly difficult if you don't practice. And Mastermind asks, what is your highest pitched voice? I guess that would be just using the top voice. I don't know if I can probably go a little bit higher, but not that much higher. Phoenix asks, how does a hypnotist find out their tist voice? When you speak in a way that you yourself, that projects the feelings that you have yourself. Karen H. says, this is my first live and I have enjoyed the peek behind the curtain, as it were. Thank you. You're very welcome. It's actually one of the reasons why I do this live is also the Nimja lives. Besides the fact that I really enjoy interacting with my audience, it's also good for them to see that I'm normal and a person. That I'm not just a weird disembodied voice. Coda asks, how to find balance between preparing and not wasting time? It's one of life's questions. I'm sorry, there's no perfect answer for that. Experience. The thing is, roll with it. If you're ill-prepared the first time, you learn things for the next time. And if you're ill-prepared, but you just roll with it and do the best you can, you still have a nice experience. Just a Little Me asks, is there anything that consistently manages to bring a blush to most people in your experience? Naughtiness? Lewis Bailey asks, what is your favorite pet? I think like going over the head, sort of downwards. Shelley Baxter asks, does the dragon voice hurt your voice? No. But it is like effort to do it. Nadine asks, how would you expect someone to respond to being flustered from eye contact? If they're flustered, they're probably blushing, stuttering, looking down. And that's fine. Emotions are fine. Xenix asks, if you still remember, what was your very first session as a TIST about? What induction did you use? I used a very basic eye fixation and progressive relaxation induction. And it was basic and not very good. Arashi asks, is the automatic answer we answer on your script random or not? Somewhat random. And indeed, pro tip, if something hurts your voice, don't do it. Like I could, if I would yell with a dragon voice, that would definitely hurt. But doing it close to the mic and gentle actually is fine. Which is why I can talk like this. But if I do the more like loud dragon voice, I definitely have to watch out with that. Karen asks, what is TIST voice? What she meant is that when you want to do trance, it helps to have a different tone or a modality of voice when you're doing hypnosis versus talking normally. If I talk normally and I say, you're feeling very relaxed, it doesn't sound as nice as if I say, you're feeling very relaxed. Wake. The same goes for even if you want to wake someone up, it helps if you say it in an awake voice. So wake is much better than wake. Just Little Me asks, any fun facts you've learned recently? I mean, I watch all kinds of weird videos. So I recently learned that there is a way to generate air pressure from moving water, which is kind of interesting. Nadine asks, how many chickens would it take to kill an elephant? Way more than you'd think according to Epic Battle Simulator. Or sorry, Ultimate Epic Battle Simulator. Haley asks, have you been to the Cloud District recently? No. Lost Peanut says, that could be a fun confusion file. I think I have done this in Tone of My Voice. Official Moose of Canada asks, I know you said July was kind of a heavy month. What was one nice thing that happened in July? Oh, there's many nice things that happened in July. I had really nice sushi. I had lots of really nice food, actually. And achieved some nice things. I released a really cool, like, highway visual. Nadine says, in one sentence, how would you sum up the internet? I don't need to. Bo Burnham's video, Welcome to the Internet, is pretty accurate. And good night, Sue. Louis Bailey asks, have you played Minecraft? Yes, quite a lot. In fact, I have owned Minecraft since long before the release. I believe I joined just after the alpha. Well played, Haley. The highway visual threw me for a loop. Well done. Katie asks, can NPCs think for themselves? Definitely not. Louise Bailey asks, have you played GTA 5? I have, and also GTA Online. And Leon asks, what is your favorite game? I quite like Mario, Portal, and Zelda. And I'm very familiar with several of the puns you're making, Nadine, including light travels faster than sound, which is the reason that some people appear bright before you hear them speak. It's a very old joke. Louis Bailey asks, have you played Roblox? No, I don't think. I might have very long ago. And Zelda Breath of the Wild was very good. It was an emotional wedding. Even the cake was in tears. Official Moose asks, console or PC gaming? Mostly PC. Sleepy Doll asks, what is your favorite quote? Quotes are often misattributed. Albert Einstein. Warm Guts asks, how often do you rage over video games? Not very much, actually. I tend to be more chill when playing games. There's some games where I get frustrated, but it's more frustration when the issues with the game rather than my performance. 1 minute remaining. Alex mentions, I just wanted to pop in and say thank you for making your reset files. You're very welcome. And Dragonride asks, what is the creepiest fact that you know about the human body? That there's 1,000,001 ways for it to fail, and yet it doesn't. Mokali asks, preferred type of pillow, somewhat firm. Sleepy Doll asks, what is your favorite kind of pizza? I vary, depends on what I feel like. The shawarma pizza is quite nice. Luna asks, what is your favorite headwear, if any? I don't really wear headwear. And last question. I'm not going to ask... Okay, this is actually a good question. Katie asks, will there be a pillow fight during the post-pandemic meetup? Funny thing is there is an International Pillow Fight Day, and they also do the pillow fight here in a square in Amsterdam, which is hilarious to see. Also, it is a mess afterwards. Anyway, again, thank you all so much for liking, commenting, subscribing, for participating, asking questions, for supporting me on Patreon and here on YouTube. Thank you so much for being you. You are awesome. Now, this was Nimja Live. Wake.